What's good, everybody? It's the night before a match, so you know what that means. It's time for one more sleep. And yeah, we did just do this. And yeah, it's about the very same team we just did it for just a couple of days ago. But that's all right. We're facing the human highlighters of Houston. And one Christian Philly Philemon to my right, left. Hi, by the way, I'm the Scarf. You're looking good there, buddy. A little fresh haircut.
Yeah, man. Went to the, as voted by you, the fans, the best barbershop in Burbank, Isis Black and Gold on Burbank Boulevard. Check her out. She just got voted best barber in Burbank. And it wasn't just by me. It was by the townspeople, everybody who's been going the course, representative of millions. And millions?
Millions. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. Maybe it was on me. I don't know. I think it was and millions. There we go.
Well, hey, better delayed than never. Anyways, yes. So that's where I got my due from. So if you're in the Valley, check out Isis Barbershop Black and Gold. And also, by the way, I want to give him some love too, because I know he goes to the Performance Center and cuts some of the players' hairs. Another beloved, our buddy Stacks as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Look, it's an embarrassment of riches how many cool people are in and around this beautiful family and this club that we've
and then there's us.
So Philly, we just did this, I feel like a couple of days ago. And look, in Houston, didn't go well. We got our butts kicked 7 ways from Sunday, including the left and the right that closed us out. 2 former LAFC players, Corey Baird and Franco Escobar, putting the nails in the proverbial coffin out there in Houston. But what you pointed out, what I pointed out, what we pointed out the last time we did one of these things, Houston is a very, very good team at home. On the road, not so much.
Oh, there's the segue. Sorry. Yeah, not so much at all. They haven't won a single game on the road all season. Every single one of their wins in Major League Soccer comes by way of playing in Houston. And that'll continue to repeat itself here in Los Angeles at beautiful BMO Stadium. I'd be damned, and I'm pretty sure that Steve Cherundolo and company would be damned as well, to allow Houston to get their first win on the road in our house. Nobody, other than Leon, unfortunately, comes into our house and pushes us around. That's how it has been. That's how it's going to be. And that's how it's going to be from here on out. Houston, you are going to have the problem tomorrow.
Look, I think it'll be, 25 days since our last win by the time we kick off at BMO on Wednesday. And I think that's all the motivation that these boys need. Steve Cherundolo came out and said in his press conference, right, he's excited to see these guys play. He thinks they'll be in a very different mindset. Hopefully that means that Steve Cherundolo wasn't afraid to say some things there in the locker room. I don't think he's ever afraid to say anything, do anything, whatever it might be. So looking forward to seeing how these guys respond. And look, I'll address a certain player when I get to my players to watch in a little bit, but Philly, this is where we need to start building some momentum as we head into what might be a little bit longer of a break in July. Look, we got a lot of games still coming up, but these types of moments, these parts of the season are where supporters' shields can be lost. Maybe not necessarily won, but they definitely can be lost in places like this.
No, absolutely. I mean, we're just barely halfway through the month of June. And you're right. Every single game counts. If you want to produce a supporters shield, history has shown that you stay as undefeated as you possibly can at home, make your home a fortress, and try at the very least to steal a point on the road. Obviously, you want to win as many games as you can, but let's face it, winning on the road in this league, or in any league for that matter, is usually rather difficult. So if you could secure a point on the road and keep your home a fortress, that's pretty good. And for lack of it, like we're still undefeated at home, even though it certainly feels like we lost last week to Atlanta United. We tied them. I know 0-0 with 22 shots and 8 on target might feel like a loss to some, a.k.a. us, but it wasn't a loss. We still managed that point. So as long as we continue to maintain our fortress and do much better on the road, I mean, it certainly couldn't get as worse. It could, I guess, as worse as it did recently, but we should be okay. It feels like a losing streak, but the grand scheme of it all, Scarf, we've only lost 2 games during the course of the regular season.
Yeah, look, this is definitely a drop in performance. It's a lull in form. These last, 4 or 5 matches or so, we just haven't looked good. But you and I are not, and we don't believe LAFC is lacking in confidence. These guys can figure it out. They can turn it around. We all know the talent that we have on this roster. We all know the talent that we'll have in the 11 and in the 18. It's just a matter of them being able to put the ball away recently. And you know what? Sometimes teams go through this. We just happen to be going through our spurt of it right now. Hopefully, we're getting this all out of our system. Philly, we've talked an awful lot about Houston over the last 72, 96 hours. Let's get into our players to watch. And look, it's going to look a little different from last time because now we have new information. We saw who they were. And look, this is still a player that I was excited to see earlier for Houston. You don't have to stay for the fluff with us. I have no idea. Is this Philly doing this, or is this?
Yeah. Whoops. I thought I was set up for failure on that one.
No, you're doing great. My players to watch. I mentioned Ibrahim earlier, and I think that he has been a player. Look, we saw him show pretty good form against us a couple of days ago. He's a player that likes to score, and he's a player that gets to the front of the net. So I think he's always one that we have to watch. Aliou Ibrahim has really had decent form in the Open Cup, and it hasn't quite carried over to what's been going on in the MLS regular season, but I think we'll see some good things from Aliou Ibrahim. And I'm going to put him as my player to watch because all reports are that in just a couple of weeks, we're not going to be able to watch him much in black and gold anymore. It seems like the ink is drying on what will be a transfer to Rangers in the Scottish Premiership for Jose Cifuentes. And look, he has played better as of late. Nobody played well against Houston just a couple of days ago. But Sifu has shown a much better form as of late. Last couple of matches, he's really been himself a little bit more on the offensive end, although I would like him to be a little bit more direct and a little bit more of a threat with the ball. But that being said, I think Jose Cifuentes is really going to try to show up and show out. I'm hoping he ends his LAFC tenure playing well and on a high note rather than like some of my students would have liked to have done this last week and a half, just kind of putting the landing gear down and coasting to the finish line.
I hear that. And speaking of coasting to the finish line, you're almost done with school. So this will be great because hopefully I have more time to get stuff done here with you. Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Summer vacations. I certainly miss those. And I don't mean the 10 days I get as a result of PTO. I just miss summer vacation. My players to watch, and it's always going to be interesting on a turnaround game because you never know who's going to play. And I know he came off and then Corey Baird came in, but I was rather impressed with the young 20-year-old Colombian, Nelson Quinones. Should he be playing in this game? I think he's going to build upon the success that he had in our last match up down in Houston. He not only scored a banger of a goal from outside the box for his first goal of the season, he also attracted that PK on Ryan Hollingshead that led to Amin Bassi's penalty kick. I really like the way that this kid plays. 20 years old with confidence from Colombia. Success breeds upon success. I say it time and time again. It's the laws of attraction. For LAFC, the only player that really stood out for me down in Houston, and I will mention honorably shout out his intestinal fortitude and his lack of fear when it comes to winding up and taking a shot, is Cheeky Palacios. Cheeky Palacios, in my opinion, has earned his keep. Certainly deserves to represent LAFC in the upcoming MLS All-Star game. And by the way, if you haven't voted yet, voting closes tomorrow, so make sure you vote for your favorite players. Try not to put an entire roster of LAFC players because our boys need a break. But Cheeky Palacios is young, and he certainly can recover a lot quicker than that of Carlos Vela. I'd imagine we'd probably see Denis Bouanga in there, possibly Carlos Vela because he's been in every one. It isn't a popularity contest. But I think Cheeky deserves it. He's been solid playing defensively, and when we've needed him, he's had no shame and no hesitation to take the big shots. They haven't been on target, but I like the way that this young kid's playing. And obviously there is talk about Jose Cifuentes going off to play in the Scottish Premier League, but Cheeky Palacios is another one of those players that the Europeans have their eyes on, and for good measure. The kid's been outstanding, and I really like him. And I'm hoping he comes up big in tomorrow's game, whether it's offensively or just shutting down the Houston's attack defensively.
Look, we've seen some really high highs from a player like Denis Bouanga, and we've seen some lows from what Ryan Hollingshead is going through right now. I don't think, Philly, you can find a more consistent player this season for us than Cheeky Palacios. He has been an incredible asset to have on the left side there at left back. So, no, I'm loving that. Let's get into our keys to the match. I love yours, by the way. I did see yours. I think it's fantastic. Look, my first is just to respond. We need to see that pride. You're coming back, and I don't say that just because it's Pride Month. Actually, I didn't even think about that until it just came out of my mouth right now. But we need to see it from our boys in the black and gold because, number one, they got their butts beat pretty badly in Houston. And I want them to come out with a little bit of fire. I don't want them to play angry because sometimes when you play angry, you tend to lose sight of the little things. And what Ilie Sanchez said at the end of last match was kind of telling, where he felt like there were maybe some players playing for themselves rather than trying to play as an 11. But we need to respond. We need to show that we are angry, but we are motivated and we are headed back in the right direction. There needs to be a better form out there on the pitch at home, certainly than there was in Houston. Look, these guys are tired. They've played a hell of a lot of games in a short period of time. But this is where LAFC needs to play with a chip on their shoulder and play with that surgical precision that we've played with at certain points throughout this season. And look, we were basically impotent on our set pieces over the last month or so. Not dangerous.
Sorry, we were what?
Oh, impotent? Yeah.
Impotent?
Yeah, impotent. Yeah. Yeah.
You might want to get that checked out.
I'm ready for LAFC to be a threat on set pieces again. I don't care if it's corners. I don't care if it's free kicks. I don't care what it might be. Hell, let's even be dangerous on penalty kicks for the first time in a while. I don't care. When the ball is stopped and LAFC has a chance to put it where they want, we need to do something with it. So I need to see at least one dangerous set piece per half. We need to see something out of our set pieces. We're creating a whole hell of a lot of corners. We're creating a decent amount of set pieces in and around the box. We need to do something with them. And with that, Philly, I know you're not an X's and O's guy, but you really, I think you're going overboard here in your analysis. I mean, I think you looked through FOTMob and Spotrac and all kinds of different things, Philly. I'm ready. Keys to the match.
He's right. I'm not an X's and O's kind of guy. If I was, well, I'd be coaching somewhere along the lines. I work off of pure knowledge, history, and emotion. Don't repeat Saturday. That's all I'm asking. I think we've certainly hit a bottom when it comes to our level of play. That was the worst game we have witnessed in the history of the Steve Cherundolo era. And I'm not making any excuses. I do want to give a shout out to our buddy Chris Lafferty because I did give him a red card the other day on his commentary about Hello Kitty on the last podcast. But he had a really great point, and I really liked it. We just got done running a marathon, whereas everybody else is running 5Ks. And not to knock on the 5Ks, 3.1 miles is hard, but it certainly doesn't take the emotional and the physical toll that 26.2 does. And we're speaking metaphorically, of course. So it doesn't get any worse. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse than what we've seen this past Saturday. Look, we know our boys are good. We know they're talented. We know they're capable of doing so much more and so much better. Fatigue will make a coward out of anybody. Doesn't matter whether it's me or Scarf or the most highly conditioned athlete. All we ask is that you don't repeat the performance on Saturday at home. You've got the 32-52 backing you up. I'm not envisioning a sellout crowd, but I'd like to think that there's going to be more than the 15,366 that showed up to Houston. 69% of their stadium filled. And I love how people make the excuse. Yeah, it's a midweek game. Yeah, I get it's a midweek game, but we've sort of actually, no, I take that back. We haven't really had that much advance warning because of the rescheduling and things. Get out to the stadium, folks. Support your boys. We love them, and I know you love them too. And they need us. You think winning on the road is hard? It is. But when you've got 22,000 screaming people willing you on, the 32-52 is it, but we're all part of that 12th man. So we can help will our boys to victory, and I hope to see a lot of you tomorrow night.
Yeah, isn't the Bundesliga championship trophy supposed to be in attendance as well? What's that called again, Philly?
You bring up a very solid point. Yes, the Meisterschale, the Champions Bowl, otherwise known as the Salatschale, the Salad Bowl, that will be on hand outside of Pepsi Plaza around 5:30, along with Bayern Munich's mascot, Bernie. I know there's Dortmund fans out there that love your B. And nothing, no disrespect to the B, but I think the Bear is a little cooler. But yeah, come out. You can see the Bundesliga trophy. And from what I'm hearing, I believe the MLS Cup will be out there as well. It is LAFC. It is FC Bayern and LAFC week, just to highlight our partnership. So this is really good stuff.
Absolutely. Look, score prediction. It's simple. I think we are going to respond. I think we're going to respond with the typical defensive effort that we have given through most matches this season. I think we are going to respond with a much better and much more fluid performance on the offensive end. I think we are going to score 2 and they are going to score none. And that is how you take 3 points. You defend BMO, defend the Banc. I miss it. But either way, 2-0, LAFC, just like that. We lose the series on aggregate 4-2, but at least we win this match 2-0.
I like it. I feel the same about your score for LAFC. I still feel, though, that Houston's going to knock one back. At what point in the game? I'm not going to pretend to know. I don't like these guessing games. If I can accurately predict stuff like this, BMO would be named after me, and I would own everything, all the world and everything around me if I could predict things accurately. I cannot. Therefore, I am sitting here in this semi-comfortable chair in world-famous Philip Monster Studios. 2-1. 2-1. And I really, really think, and it really needs to come from somebody other than Denny. I love for Denny to have one, assisted by Carlos Vela, but I'd love to see somebody else score that's name is not Carlos Vela, Denny Bouanga, or Kwadwo Opoku. I'd like to see Mati Bogusz get himself on the boards. Again, I'd like to see Stipe Buke do something like that. And I think our attack and our confidence in our attack needs that. We've got 10 goals that have come out of Denny in regular season. We had 7 of them that come off of Champions League. We cannot solely rely on this man alone if we are going to be successful. Other players need to step up, and I am hoping, wishing, whatever, that another goal comes from somebody who doesn't regularly score. 2-1 is my score prediction.
Look, I love it. We've been talking an awful lot about Houston for this last 6-7 days or so. We'll talk about them a whole bunch tomorrow. I do just want to give a very quick shout out, and we'll talk about this on the pod tomorrow as well. Congrats to Hart. They're going live. What is it, tonight? Is it tonight?
Yep, tonight I think at 9:30. We posted on our story.
Yeah, I think it's 9 or 9:30 again. Episode 300 for Hart. That is, they are obviously the first and only LAFC podcast to get that far. That is absolutely incredible. Just want to give a quick shout out to those guys. We'll talk a little bit more about Hart and their 300th episode on our 258th, I think, episode. But that being said, Philly's got 2-1. I've got 2-0. And I think we're both kind of tired of talking about Houston. What do you think, Philly?
Yeah, speaking of 2, that's what I got to go do. So I am done.
Thanks, Philly. Let's play the guitar riff. Bye-bye.